Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Machan L'Arayah online smicha. There is a well-known statement that's brought in Shas a couple of times, and it's repeated very much, and yet the Chassam Sofer in Masechta Avodah Zarah Samach Daled Amud Aleph and in Toras Moshe Parashas Nasai, he says, Shekol Yom of Toma, my whole life I was wondering, Minayim lahem lechazal halacha zu. From where did the Chazal derive this halacha? Which halacha are we referring to? Which statement are we referring to? A statement that the Gemara makes, Gerish and his gayer, a ger that converts, kekatan shenayla dami. We look at him, we consider him like a newborn child. Something new happens, the past is the past, and now it's a newborn child. If you look in the Levush, in Yeridei Simarei Samachtes Seif Aleph, the Levush says like this: Amru Chazal, Hadas Noitin, the Seichel lets you say, Sheger HaMizgayer and Mekabel Olav Oila Torah, that anybody who converts and takes upon himself the yoke of Torah, and Ol Malchus Shemayim, Vadayin is Oilera Olav Ruach Mimorim, he must have had a spirit from on high pushing him to do this, a special neshama, the nasa ish acher, and he's completely a different person. And we look at it as if he was created that day, and he goes on to stress even more. The whole yom of harishonim and all the days pre to this, it's as if it never happened. The ish acherhu, he's completely a different person, and we know how it plays itself out in halachas. All his quote-unquote relatives are not relatives anymore. He's a newborn person, no father, no mother, and he's on his own. Now, as mentioned before, the Chassam Sofer in a couple of places says, I don't know from where the Chachamim derive this halacha, even though, as mentioned before, this statement plays itself out in many halachas. Now the Baal HaTurim brings a pasuk. It says, the Baal HaTurim says, the pasuk says, Leisata mishpat ger yosem, that when a dayan makes a case, he should not when he judges a case, he should be careful and just, and do all the right things, and don't tilt for any reason, for the good or for the bad, the mishpat of the judgment of a ger yosem. Now it doesn't say ger vi yosem. To the Baal HaTurim and Parshas Kiseitze proves from this that it's not necessarily only talking about a convert and a orphan. From this pasuk you can learn out that every ger is really like a yosem, because once he converts, he has no parents, he has no relative, he's on his own. But obviously, that is a remez from the Baal HaTurim, but where is the halachic source to this? So the Meshech Chachma in Parshas V'Eschanon, where the Torah says that after Matan Torah, the Eibusha said, Lech Amar Lahem, go tell the Jews, go tell them to Shuvu La'alechem. Go back to your tents, and now you can be with your wife and continue having a family. And over there, the Meshech Chachma addresses the question of the Chassam Sofer and says, the Meshech Chachma, I believe that this pasuk is the proof that a katan shenoilad, a gerish and his gayer is a katan shenoilad. Why? Because during Matan Torah, up to that time, the Yotzim Mitzrayim, all the people that came out of Mitzrayim, had many wives. There were many women there, many wives. And they were married up to that time, possibly, and not only possibly, we could assume that they were married to people that B'nai Noach are allowed to marry, but B'nai Yisrael are not allowed to marry. And the biggest proof is Amram. Amram was the Gadol Hadar, as the Gemara says in Saita, and yet he married his aunt Yocheved. And when the Torah says, go back and live with your family, continue having family life, how could he do that? How could he do that? I mean, if if now that we got the Torah, there are the Isur Arayas, the forbidden unions you're not allowed to have. You're definitely not allowed to live with your aunt. Elamai, because it's a cotton shenoilad, and the Jews at that time converted, and because they converted, they're like new children without any family. That's a raya that because they were able to continue living with their wives, with their family, it's a raya because all the forbidden ones were not forbidden anymore. Because I'm completely a new person. My wife now is not even related to me, so I'm allowed to marry her. That is the raya the Meshech Chochmah says. However, the Maharal in Gur Aryeh and Parshas Vayigash, he also addresses the Shaila, and he asks if the Yidden during Matan Torah were considered converts, Gerim, and we learn out many halachas of Geirus. We learned out from what the Yidden did to prepare for Matan Torah, and we learned that a Ger is allowed to marry his sister, quote unquote his sister, because there's no relationship. He's a new child. So the people who just got converted by Matan Torah were allowed to live with anybody, right? So the question is, why is it that the Torah tells us that the Yidden were crying when they heard the Isser of Arayas, and they realized that they have to leave go some of the family they had before because they were forbidden? Why are they forbidden? If they are if they were all considered Gerim, and a Gerish and his Gair is a Katan Shenoilad. So why were they crying? In other words, the Maral learns Pshat obviously different than the Meshech Chochmah. He says it is a problem. And V'haraya, we see they were crying. So he comes up with a beautiful answer, and he says that Gerish and his Gair could cut Shenoilad dummy. That's only if somebody steps up to the plate and comes by himself by free will. He wants to join the Jewish people, the Jewish nation. For a person like that, the rule of Gerish and his Gair could cut Shenoilad dummy applies. But by Matan Torah, it wasn't nobody stepped up to the plate. The Gemara says that the Torah was given to us by force. Kekatan Shenoilad dummy. I mean, Kaf Aleim Har Kegigas. The Eibush forced us. So it's not exactly a type of Geirus that we apply the rule of Gerish and Isgair Kekatan Shenoilad because we were forced into it. Now, in a Sefer Minchas Nasn on Kedushin Siman Tazayin, he brings another ayah from the Das Kanim and Balei Toisvis and Parshas Ba'aleischa. Over there it says a very interesting thing, that Eldad and Umeidad, the ones that were Misnabim B'machna, they were brothers of Moshe Rabbeinu. How are they brothers of Moshe Rabbeinu? Because once the Torah was given, and we heard the Parsha of Arayas, the forbidden union, so all those who were married to people that they weren't allowed to, now they're not allowed to marry, they separated. So, and Moshe, and that's why people were crying, because they have to separate from the former family. Amram, Moshe Rabbeinu's father, left his wife Yocheved. It was his aunt, and he married somebody else. And that somebody else, with that somebody else, he had these two children, Eldad and Medad. So Amram, the father of Moshe, had two other children from another wife, Eldad and Medad. So you obviously see that when the Torah says, Shuvu lachem la'alechem, was not referring to anybody could go back. It's only to the ones who are living with permissible unions. But if you were living with a prohibited union, you're not allowed to. So we see clearly that what the Meshech Chochmah says, that it's a Katan Shenoilad dummy by Matan Torah, and that's why they were able to go back, is not necessarily correct. They only, as Amram went on to marry other people.